Hi, I'm Emily from Collage Quilter. Today we're going to work on the bluebirds, the Eastern Bluebirds that are part of the Longwood quilt. So there's one here and one up here. There are two Eastern Bluebirds, and I want to explain first of all what comes in the kit. So we have two, this is what comes in the block of the month. So if you are participating in the block of the month, this is what you will receive. The pattern, which includes the gray tone guide and instructions. You will also get a nice assortment of fabric for the collage. And from my Longwood collection, so this was fabric designed by me, you will get fabric for the background. So because we're doing two different bird blocks, there are two different background fabrics. This is DuPont in cream, and this is Wilmington in cream. And you will get enough of this in your block of the month kit so that you can make multiple blocks if you would like. And then you'll also be getting a 1/4 yard of flower garden, which was designed by me also. And this is the fabric that we're going to use for fussy cutting elements that go in the block. Now, if you are purchasing we will have a few extra blocks left over. And if you're purchasing outside of the block of the month, so if you're going to purchase just the Bluebird kit on its own, you will also receive a packet of Steam-A-Seam in that kit. Let me just talk through the other supplies that you're going to need. Obviously, you need Steam-A-Seam. I like light Steam-A-Seam too. We sell this on Collage Quilter, either in packets or in 3-yard rolls. You will need parchment paper. Buy this at the grocery store. It's the same thing as baking paper. You'll need a pencil to draw on with parchment paper, pins, and your scissors, cutting fabric scissors. And I also highly recommend using these tweezers, and then you'll want a wand iron. Let me pull out my wand iron and show you what this looks like also. Okay, so wand iron and an iron mat, a silicone mat. Okay, so those are the supplies that you're going to need to get started. Now let's move into getting ready to get started, okay? You will take your fussy cutting fabric, or excuse me, your collage fabric, and prepare it with Steam-A-Seam. So I cut mine in half and have put the Steam-A-Seam on the back so you can see it's got all the paper on it. So this is ready to go, ready to use. You will also want to take your gray tones and trace them out. So onto parchment paper, you're going to just trace out the gray tone, the bird, using either a light box or hang this in the window, and that's easy to see through. So do that for both of the birds. Here's this one ready. And then let me also just say a word about my my work surface. This is my preference. It's just a piece of foam core that's been covered in felt. And I like this because it's just a handy size for toting around for doing a small collage. The other thing is I like to have, when I'm working, I like to have the gray tone guide right next to me, next to the tracing on the parchment paper. If you prefer to have the gray tone guide underneath the parchment paper, that works too. It's semi-transparent, so you can still kind of see it, but and you could even make a copy of this and do it both ways. So you can have this underneath the parchment paper or to the side. I think that's everything that you need to get started and everything that's in the kit. And so let's go ahead and dig in on the collage. Okay, so I'm ready to get started on this, and I just wanted to mention a couple other things. Number one, I've already mentioned that I like having the gray tone next to it, but it's also very helpful to have a color photo of what I'm working on as well. So on this pattern, you'll see the one bluebird on the front and the other one on the back. So these are handy references for you. So I'm going to set that right there so I can see this as well. And then the other thing that I want to point out is if you ever feel like you need to increase the value spectrum in your fabric, like I did, I want to have a little bit of a gray down here. I just flipped this fabric over, and I'm going to use the reverse side to get that other shade that I feel like I need. So I've got my fabric all lined up here, and now I'm going to dig in. A lot of people will ask me, does it matter, or where should I start on my collage? And I actually don't think that it matters a whole lot. This is where it's helpful to have pins. So I'm just going to start kind of at the bottom of the bird and work up. Now these birds they'll come together pretty quickly because they're pretty small. These first few pieces are not going to stick onto the parchment paper very well because it's a non-stick surface, and this is when it's nice to have the iron. You will also you'll create a lot of trash, so it's helpful to have a little trash bin nearby as well. Okay, so let's just kind of dig in. I'm just going to start with his chest. And I may even decide that I want these pieces to be a little bit smaller. And this is where it's nice to have my tweezers. So if I want to cut that, because the smaller the little project that I'm working on, the smaller my pieces can be. And I like to be able to keep a pretty good variety of fabric in the bird so that he stays interesting. The more fabric that I use, the more interesting the bird is. Let's just set that there. I might use that again. Now I'm just going to press this to the parchment paper. I'm going to make sure that I don't press those pieces together quite yet. I should also mention that you may have a slight variation in the fabric that you've received. We try to keep everything consistent, but as I've said before, sometimes we run out of things and they're not available for me to purchase again. So that's why sometimes you'll see you might have a piece like this, or you might have one that's kind of a replacement, but either way, it's going to work. And the other thing I do recommend is incorporating some of your own fabric as well. So if you have a good stash, bring it in. And everything that I've traced out here it's actually kind of more of a guide. You don't need to worry too much about being real precise with where one color ends and another begins. Okay, so now I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to talk about a few things. So you've seen how I will use my tweezers to lift things up. That's why they're super helpful. As I'm looking at this little beak, I think I might lose this on the background. While I really like it, it looks like there's a highlight on the beak. I think I'm going to lose that when I put it on the background. So I'm going to trade it and turn this into the beak. And one thing, if I feel like I've already cut the piece perfectly for where it's going, I can use the piece that I take off as a template and just replace it. And then the other thing that I want to show you is how to do his eyes and his feet. Okay, so now I can just get rid of that. Okay, and then his eye. I've left, there's a little hole there, you can kind of see it, but I'm going to demonstrate how to do the eye. There are a couple ways. One really easy way to do the eye would be to select a piece like this in the fabric and just cut that out, and that would be the eye. In fact, I think that's what I'm going to do for this little guy. I think I will just use this. And I may not even do a highlight. Maybe I'll do a little highlight, but honestly, we wouldn't probably see a highlight from the distance that this bird is. So that could be his eye. And because I left that there, I can kind of see where the eye should go. So I think that works great. And then if I want to do a little highlight for his eye, what I'll do is just cut a piece off, take the back off first. Now this is getting nitpicky because it's tiny. And this is the one time when I'll break my rule of the size of pieces. Normally my piece sizes are not smaller than my thumbnail, but this, if I put a little highlight right there, that works, right? Let me also show you how to handle his feet. So I can take the fabric that I want to use. So let's say I want to use this on his feet, and I'll peel the paper back and just trace them. Grab my pencil here, trace it through here. And because I want the feet to tuck under, it's going to go a little bit above where you'll actually see it. That way they can be sure to overlap. On the original of this particular bird, I just ignored his feet and I didn't put them in there. And I don't think it was a mistake. I think I just, it doesn't need it, but this is how to do it. This bird does have the feet. So let me just show you this. Now I'm going to press the fabric back. Sometimes you tend to lose, if it's on a dark background, you can kind of lose the tracing, so then you can just retrace it. Then you have a template to follow. Do press the steam paper back down on the fabric so that it doesn't, so your template doesn't slip around. So this is an easy way to do his feet Or like I've done on my original, I just ignored the feet, but you can choose whatever you want to do. And then I'll peel that off and tuck it underneath the body of the bird. Lift that up slightly. And there, now he has a foot. And then with those, they're just little suggestions of claws. So I'm not gonna go get real detailed with these. I can just kind of go like that. But like I said, just ignore these, because we can hide them with leaves or whatever if you don't want to cut things that are so tiny. And then one more itty bitty baby claw on this little bird. Sometimes I actually just peel the paper off first and then cut the claw, because it's kind of hard to take the paper off when you're dealing with these itty bitty pieces. Tweezers. Love the tweezers. Okay, there we go. So the only thing that really bothers me at this moment is that highlight is a little strong. I might just try and trim that. And really, you could ignore it and, oh, there, that turned out perfect. Okay, so perfect. I really like that. I think I'm gonna press this bird now. Okay, so let me get this all pressed, and then we'll talk again about how to create your composition. All right, so I have cut my 9.5-inch block out of the background fabric, and I've pressed the entire bluebird together so all of these pieces stick together. And the other thing that I've done is I've fussy cut some of these floral elements. Now, let me just explain. With the fussy cutting fabric, this is as much as I will do before I decide. I'll get the steam on it, and then I'll begin to do the detailed fussy cutting, so that it has the steam on it and I don't have to do the detailed cutting twice. So now it's the fun part. I get to peel the bird off and create the composition. So we're gonna peel him away from the parchment paper and just position him any way I think I might like. And I can just start adding pieces to the composition. And oh yeah, look how cute that is. That's adorable. I love it. So the fabric that you've received should provide you with plenty of options. And I just want you to have fun here. And before I even peel any of these pieces, the paper off, I can just set them around and just audition a few things. So kind of fun, huh? When I get the composition the way I like I kind of like that. Kind of like it like this. Now I can peel the fabric or the paper off the back and make sure that the composition is as I like it, and then press everything. At this point, you can steam it. Steam is what will make the temporary adhesive dissipate from the steam. And be sure when you steam it that you steam it on this side and on this side. But only do that after you've got the composition as you like it. And then you can just set your block aside. You can make multiple blocks, or you can just set it aside until we're ready to put it in the Longwood quilt. If you've purchased this just as an individual block, you can use it however you want. A pillow, or another quilt block or a wall hanging, you get to decide. So, oh, I just think this is adorable. I want this one to be really lush. Again, I think I've been generous with the Longwood fabric that you'll be receiving, the fussy cutting fabric. You'll also notice that I leave about 1/4 of an inch to 1/2 inch from the edges. That way the block has room for seam allowance to be sewn into anything else, into the quilt or whatever I'm going to be doing. Let's see if we can position this the way we want it. And I might want to move that so I don't lose so much of the bird behind all the... There we go. These skinny little pieces get they get a little unwieldy. But I do also think they add such a great flair. Okay, so there's my finished block. Maybe I'll add one more little blossom. And now I am ready to press and steam. All right, so this has been fun for me. I hope this has been a helpful demonstration of making the Bluebird blocks. And if you have any questions, you can find me at Collage Quilter. You can email me, emily@collagequilter.com. And don't forget to join the Collage Quilter Academy Facebook group, where you can see other people that are making the block of the month and all of my patterns. So hope to see you again soon.